Greetings, everybody. Thanks for tuning back into my channel. Got another video for you talking about high conflict court, high conflict individuals, high conflict custody, that type of stuff, personality disorders. Once again, my name's Scott Carter, and I'm a licensed therapist. I ended up kind of specializing in this area. I've done so much family work over the years, and I'm diving into the area of personality disorders, and I've seen what a great detrimental effect there is on children when it comes to divorce court, family court, and I've also done some child custody evaluations myself, type work, and so I kind of have some firsthand experience in this area. I find that there is a pretty general lack of just really good information when it comes to high conflict court, custody. People just turn to lawyers. People just turn to the, attorneys to get them through this stuff, and attorneys can only help you in so many ways. But today we're obviously going to talk about parental alienation. And this is kind of a big topic. This is sort of a big thing. I'm going to talk about parental alienation mostly in context of family court and how it pertains to like high conflict individuals. And if you're new to my content, when I refer to a high conflict individual, I just mostly mean it's an umbrella term that I use, and I just mostly mean obviously a person who is high conflict. They just create conflict around everything. Now, a lot of the times, those individuals will fall under the category of a personality disorder, specifically narcissistic, borderline, and antisocial personality disorder. Most of the time, those are the most common scenarios, but not necessarily. What I have to be really careful of is for people to use my content as a diagnostic tool. You know, I'm not saying that your ex is borderline or narcissist or antisocial, though it's possible that they are. It's entirely possible that you know that they are, that someone else has diagnosed them. And so this is a particular topic that comes up a lot. And so I'm going to talk about just parental alienation here, guys. And so how it pertains clinically to you personally and with the court. And so first, what is parental alienation? And it is just what it sounds like. It's where one parent basically creates alienation within the children against the other parent. Basically convincing the kids that the other parent is bad and turning them against them, alienating their relationship or sabotaging the relationship from one, or like one parent doing it to another parent so that other parent does not have a relationship with the children. So is it real? And I'm going to kind of get to what my experience is. A little bit of history on parental alienation. I did some research on this a few years ago because it was beyond me how this had just seemed to continue to fly under the radar, because quite frankly I see it all the time. And many years ago there was a clinical psychologist. He had done mountains of research on it, collected data. He was pushing to get it into the DSM-5. He wanted parental alienation to be able to be diagnosed in children. And he got a lot of pushback from it, a lot of backlash. I'm not exactly sure which populations, which groups gave him such enormous pushback. I believe his name was Dr. Gardner. And right before the DSM-5 was getting ready to enter publication, and it looked like it was going to make it into the DSM-5, Dr. Gardner actually committed suicide. And it's my understanding that when he did that, that's essentially when parental alienation was, the kibosh was put on it for it to get into the DSM-5. So it is not officially recognized as a mental health diagnosis. Is it recognized by the APA? The APA being the American Psychological Association. Not officially as a disorder. And I think clinicians are concerned about it. So you're just going to have to find it on a case-to-case basis. Family court, I'm going to get into this, but family court, at least in my area, does not recognize PA, does not recognize parental alienation. I'm going to talk more about that, and I've already mentioned the DSM-5. If you're not familiar with the DSM, it's the Diagnostic and statistical manual of all the mental health disorders. I mean, it's what we use to diagnose everything from bipolar disorder and schizophrenia, personality disorders, etc., etc., etc. No, it is so, again, not recognized by the DSM-5, okay? So in my experience, it is very real. Parental alienation is very real. I do believe it should be in the DSM-5. I do believe that it should get a lot of recognition and a lot of attention, okay? So there are a lot of clinical concerns, and I've talked to other clinicians about this, other therapists. For example, I am part of the Utah Mental Health Counselors Association. I'm the Legislative and Public Policy Committee Chair. Yeah. I also participate in a behavioral health work group here for the state of Utah, which basically talks about public policies in terms of a mental health perspective by various professionals. So I go to that group, and just in all of my interactions with other people who really, honestly, truly care about kids, truly care about families, and the like, are concerned that parental alienation is not officially recognized by the court or the DSM-5, and some of you might be out there, because this is probably, I guarantee, a really big deal for a lot of people out there, probably sitting there asking, well, then why don't you guys do more about it? And believe me, it's on the list. I mean, there's a list as long as my arm of concerns from a social services and a mental health standpoint in the community. I mean, teen suicide is a big one around here, homelessness, there's just a lot. Sexual violence is so pervasive. I mean, it's on the list. There's just not enough resources and not enough people. And unfortunately, the truth is, with my profession, is that it's becoming less and less appealing to people all the time to want to pursue it. It's too much work, and it doesn't pay well enough. There's too much liability, too much red tape, and our legislators continue to just put more and more and more legislation and policies in place that make my job harder and harder and more complicated. Entirely different topic, but that's just me attempting to answer the question, why isn't there more emphasis put on kind of getting a greater, awareness put on parental alienation, and that's the answer to it. But here's some of my clinical concerns. These are just a few. These are just kind of the top three, frankly. But children being used as weapons to harm the other parent. And I've already this is point number 3 too, children being weaponized and used to gain leverage. This is my biggest concern that I see with parents. As a clinician, as someone who works with kids, mostly teenagers, this is one thing that I have zero tolerance for. I have zero tolerance for the weaponization of children and them being used to gain leverage over another parent. I'm very vocal about it. I have no tolerance for it. Whenever I see it clinically, I'm like, no, that's not okay. I call it out, man. It's not okay. But children need to have healthy relationships with both parents. It's just good for them. And what I hear from high conflict types is, well, the other parent's a bad person. Well, that's your opinion of the parent. And yeah, if there's one parenting practice that I see backfire almost 100% of the time, is trying to choose relationships of who the kids can or cannot have a relationship with. That never goes well. But kind of going back to the weaponization thing, this doesn't just happen with parents. I've seen parents that will enact PA as a parental alienation as well, type behaviors if they want to gain leverage over their own parents or someone else or siblings or whomever. I just can't. I have no tolerance for people that weaponize children. I'm so against it. It's not even funny. It's clinically very problematic. So I'm going to talk about next here parental alienation in high conflict individuals. Like I said, HCIs, high conflict individuals. This is a umbrella term that I use to usually refer to people who have a personality disorder. And like it says here, personality disorder types are notorious for parental alienation. Notorious. And just about, I would say at least 85% of the time when someone who has a personality disorder goes through a divorce, to some degree or another, they attempt to alienate the kids against the other parent. There's a lot of reasons for this. This is just a couple of them. They're unable to tolerate the kids loving someone that they personally hate. If you divorce someone who has a personality disorder, you are a permanent villain. They hate you. And they have virtually no tolerance for children loving the person that they hate. Any time that you divorce a high conflict individual, you're not looking at like a co-parenting situation. You're looking at a power struggle. They're not interested in happy outcomes. They're not interested in agreeing. They're not interested in bringing about the best outcomes for the kids. They're interested in winning. They're interested in beating you. So they will use the kids to leverage and keep the upper hand and power in that particular situation. I would say don't expect them to do otherwise. And as a side note, for the most part, I do have a lot of compassion, for example, for people who have borderline personality disorder until they start weaponizing and using children as leverage. I have a lot of compassion for borderline. They are not good parents. In fact, I have big issues with how they go about their parenting. It's not for this video, though. So gaslighting. Most people have heard of gaslighting, and some people have a kind of a vague understanding of what gaslighting is. I actually did a separate video on this last week, so make sure you go check that one out. Go watch my video on gaslighting. But gaslighting is very, very effective when it comes to wanting to create parental alienation. It's very, very effective. I'm not going to get into it in the way those tactics. Just go, if you want to know those tactics, just go watch my other video on gaslighting. So here's the other thing in the situation that's important to know and understand is that kids are often remain loyal to certain parents out of fears. Usually, and I'll talk about the ages, but let's say that you have two parents and one of them is high conflict and the other is not. And the high conflict parent is extremely angry and aggressive and has no tolerance for any amount of compassion or loyalty to the other parent. When the kids are young, they're pretty powerless. They're going to side with the high conflict parent as a means of survival a lot of the times. Usually they hate the parent that they feel the most safe with. And I've seen that many, many times, and I've seen that turn on a dime. When kids start to hit age 15, 16-ish in that range, sometimes younger, sometimes older, they start to butt heads with their high conflict parent, and then it flip-flops on them, and it can do so overnight. But usually when they're like 14 or younger, they just want to self-preserve. They don't want to do anything to make the high conflict parent angry, and will remain loyal to them and will side on the agreement that we're just going to hate the other parent for now. And so I'll get into kind of what to do about that. But first I want to talk about family court. Okay, so before I get to my bullet points, I have seen individuals who have been on the receiving end of parental alienation, and they're upset and they're angry and they're hurt and they want something done about it, and so their default is to go through court. And frankly, that will not help. That will not rectify the situation. If the other person is doing that, don't expect a court, don't expect a attorney's court to do much or anything at all about parental alienation itself. Now, it's one thing if they're violating decrees. It's one thing if they are breaking rules or going against court orders. That's one thing. But if you go to the court and say, kids don't like me because of them, yeah, don't expect them to care. If you watch my videos, you know I don't have much good to say about family attorneys. These people, they drag kids through family court. Kids get weaponized. The attorneys will drag them through the mud, use them as weapons, use them to gain leverage in court, use them to win. Attorneys, they are so unethical when it comes to kids and families. It's not even funny. They're terrible people. They're absolutely terrible people. They don't care what they do to your kids. They care about winning. And I was even involved recently in a situation where a family attorney was attempting to use like a therapeutic means as a way to show that someone was not a good parent. And it's like only A lawyer, only a family lawyer would attempt to use therapy as a way to show that the other person is not a fit parent. I mean, these people are idiots. Judges and commissioners, they are former attorneys that are on the bench. So they're no different. They don't care. Don't expect them to care about parental alienation. So, and just as a side note, anytime that you go to vote and there's a list of local judges, vote no on all of them. Make sure that those guys and girls know that they are on notice. Vote them out. They need to know that they are on notice, and they can be pulled from the bench. So you're just far more likely to get traction if you focus on decree and violations. Okay. So here's the thing. Here I have a completely different, an entirely different program and method on what to do about parental alienation. And people want guarantees. There are never any guarantees. If you want guarantees, if you wanna try and strong arm them through the court, here's what I can guarantee you is if you go through the court route. I can guarantee you it will take forever. I can guarantee you it will cost you a lot of money, often a lot of money that you don't have. And I can guarantee you that attorneys will escalate the situation, actually make it worse. So don't expect the court to rectify parental alienation. The court can strong arm someone into respecting divorce decrees and the court orders that are set by the court. That's about it. And what I've written here is that the court can actually make parental alienation worse. And here's why. Is if you have a high conflict ex and they're gaslighting you, they are going to use the court as a way to support the narrative that they've built about you with the kids. Like if they tell the kids that you are just a horrible person, and then you take them to court for parental alienation, then they gaslight you and go, "See, kids, I told you. He or she's taking me to court now, and see, I told you how bad they were." So it can actually make it worse. Okay, they will, high conflict types have a tendency to play the victim, and that you're the victimizer, you're the one creating the victim situation here, and they will paint you in that regard, and that only makes parental alienation worse. Okay, parental alienation can be reversed. It can be rectified. It can be fixed. You must be patient. Sometimes it can happen quickly, and sometimes it takes years. But wouldn't you rather have it, turn around and change after like 2 or 3 years than never at all? You've got to learn to be proactive and not just reactive. Okay, leave the kids out of it. This is one of the hardest part. Well, your mother or your father did this, or your mother and father did that. Leave the kids out of it. If you want to reverse parental alienation, leave the kids out of it. Okay. Don't take it personally with the kids. Okay. This is really hard. I ask people to do hard things. This is one of them. The kids will say horrible things about you, horrible things to you. They will parrot and echo the things that your ex says about you, and generally the kids are just repeating things that they've said. Monkey see, monkey do. They don't understand. They're kids. They just don't understand. So do what you got to do. Create a scream room, whatever. Don't take it personally. It's not about you, okay? So with gaslighting, one of my things is providing a contrast, okay? You've got to provide a contrast to the kids of whatever narratives are being built about you. But again, go watch my video on gaslighting. Okay, you've got to be strategic about parenting. You can't just wing it. You can't just react, and you can't just wing it. Okay, you need to use some strategery. So I put here different parenting roles. Now, I often talk to parents about wearing different parenting hats. There's 4 main parenting hats in my world. Friend, teacher, protector, enforcer. If you overdo the enforcer, for example, if you're being gaslit, if they're gaslighting you and you overdo it with the enforcer, then it's going to work against you big time. Okay, but that's kind of a different thing. Asking the kids questions. Now, for the most part, leave the kids out of it. If the kids confront you, why did you do this? Why did you do that? What's going on with this in the court? Why do you and mom do this? Just look at the kid. Keep your volume low and your tone even. That's between me and your mother. That's between me and your father. Okay. But if they demand answers, answer them with questions. Like, do you think there's any information that you don't have about this? Do you think you see the situation exactly the way it is? Does your mother or father tell a one-sided story? Okay. And of course, be patient. One of my biggest gripes with working with clients in general is that they want solutions now. I've talked to you for an hour and my life isn't completely fixed. I'm unhappy. Well, that's not how it works, folks. You have to be patient. Baby steps, okay? So, really, it's a psychological game, okay? You need boundaries and you need rules. Again, attorneys are not going to give this to you. Attorneys make money from escalated court cases. High conflict cases equals payday for them. The more fighting, the more they get paid. What incentive do they have to bring this to a close? Okay, so for me, I teach people the 6 rules, my 6 rules for co-parenting. Okay, I also have 5 rules for court custody cases. I also teach people a Socratic questioning method. All of these things are intended to bring rules, structure, boundaries, etc., to these situations so that they just don't destroy your lives and destroy your relationship with your kids. I'm going to close this video out. Here's my website, saltcitycounseling.com. I've got plenty of other articles on there about high conflict situations. And you can contact me through that website too if you are in need of some consultations. I've got lots of options available for people to help them bring more structure to these problems and stuff. So also follow me on core.com. I answer a lot of questions on there about parenting, personality disorders, court, and the like. So that's going to do it for this one. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. You know what to do. Thanks again for watching, and I'm trying to get on the stop button. It doesn't want to do it. We'll see you next time.